Hello, greetings and salutations. Welcome back to the BFC, where we go into the trenches of the trading world. We have some really nice company presentations planned for today. A lot of work goes into these conference days, so please repost and share this content far and wide. We love bringing the DD from the source. Our first company presenter has been one of my favorite stories to follow. I'm talking about Nasdaq ticker HTOO and their CEO, JP Backwell. Let's bring him in. JP, welcome back to the BFC. How have you been?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Eric. Yeah, good to see you again. Yeah, nice friendly face. But yeah, thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
It's good to throw you back on the hot seat. Last time we did this, you were in the OTC, not on the Nasdaq. So congratulations.
Well, yeah, by virtue of being acquired by Fusion Fuel, obviously, and I was thrust into the hot seat there. Lots of work to do, lots of obstacles to overcome, but here we are, soldiering on, making progress. So yeah, good to be here. Thanks for your time.
You've highlighted revenues up 70% and costs down 54%. When do you expect Fusion Fuel to reach sustained profitability?
Yeah, very good question. So considering our current business with the two existing subsidiaries that we have, that's the hydrogen and gas subsidiaries, and then leaving out any of the ongoing acquisitions that we've already publicly spoken about, we would expect to see that growing profitability in 2026. So starting from actually early 2026 and then growing from there on. We've definitely had a string of one-time costs this year and also late last year, so mainly due to that QIND acquisition, and then also Nasdaq compliance, a lot of legal costs around that, getting us compliant and onto that stable footing where we are today. So, as I'd say, once those are behind us, we'll start to show consolidated profitability early next year, and then we'll build from there. It's also worth noting that we've been investing heavily in our hydrogen and gas subsidiaries, and we're seeing the benefits of that with new contracts awarded on both sides in both subsidiaries. But we'll certainly see significant bottom line impact from early next year onwards. Bearing in mind, remember that our operating gas business is very profitable, right? But on a consolidated basis, when you take out those one-time costs, that's when we'll start to show some solid profitability.
And you're talking about HTOO, correct?
HTOO gas, yeah. So Fusion Fuel, for those who don't know, I mean, many might, but some may not. Fusion's the parent. It's an integrated energy company. You could think of it as an energy holding company now, or an energy platform, however you want to think of it or term it. We've got two subsidiaries underneath. We've got Bright Hydrogen Solutions on the one side, focusing mostly on green hydrogen projects, engineering and advisory services around those. We've got a very strong, very experienced team on that front. And then on the other side, we've got HWAL Gas with its 130 staff, founded in the 80s, 54 vehicles on the road, operating out of Dubai. I can talk more about that later, but yeah, we've got the two subsidiaries beneath Fusion Fuel, and of course we're busy with deals to create additional subsidiaries and ongoing value for the company and shareholders.
Right on. How will the 30 million hydrogen investment vehicle be structured, and when will it begin deploying capital?
Yeah, another good question. So it's an investment vehicle. So it'll be its own completely new entity, created precisely for the purpose of hydrogen projects. That will be managed by our Bright Hydrogen team. And then that investment vehicle will be overseen by a board, its own board, which will be composed of both Bright Hydrogen team members and then also the investment partner. So based on the current projects we see in the pipeline right now, that we're obviously in negotiation on, we expect the investments to begin so pretty early on actually in 2026, and then continue throughout 2026 onwards.
Right on. With Bright Hydrogen Solutions targeting 5 million revenue by 2026, what percentage of total company revenue do you see hydrogen contributing by then?
Well, yeah, that 5 million is I'd say a fairly conservative forecast, but even so, we would expect to contribute less than 20% of the group's revenues. So that's obviously excluding any acquisitions that we might make, right? So both subsidiaries are showing strong signs of growth. I think that's evident. If you looked at our last investor update, you can see that. But we still expect most of our income to come from our HWAL entity for the foreseeable future. So given that it's, as I said earlier, a very well-established company, strong. It's got a strong reputation in the region, where the main challenge actually in that region is putting the infrastructure in place to keep up with the huge demand. It really is a substantial demand. Meanwhile, the green hydrogen sector is growing, which is why we're seeing so many new projects that we're bidding on. But bear in mind that, that growth still excludes any new acquisitions. So even some of the newer acquisitions could dwarf some of the revenue we see even in Al Shola Gas. But either way, the acquisitions would dramatically alter our financial performance, as well as our geographical operations globally, which is important for scaling up and all of that. But yeah, sorry, to answer your question in short, less than 20%, although the great thing is we're seeing a lot of growth there.
Yeah, less than 20%. That puts the overall at a significant value. So that's a good indicator. So now Al Shola Gas shows greater than 40% margins. How scalable is this model as you expand across the Middle East?
Yeah, so I'll just explain a little bit about the Middle East, or even just the United Arab Emirates alone. If you consider the United Arab Emirates alone, the UAE, there's 7 emirates, right? So Dubai is one of 7 emirates, and we currently operate only in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. So a lot of people don't actually know that. Some people even still think that Dubai is a country. It's an emirate in the UAE, and in Dubai alone, we serve nearly 38,000 customers with, as I mentioned, those 54 vehicles, 130 team members on the ground. It's one of the most advanced cities on the planet. I don't know if you visited it, Eric, but
I've not been there yet.
Yourself, yeah. So I always say that, especially to Americans, not for any insultory reason, but just to say, go and see it for yourself, because I think it's definitely one of the fastest growing cities on the planet, one of the most advanced cities on the planet, and yet some people still think that it's just a desert with camels and nomads and the likes. But I challenge people to experience Dubai and its technological advancements, and you sort of understand where that demand comes that drives our business, right? It's the reason why so many Westerners are relocating to Dubai, moving their businesses or conducting their business from there. And so we've got huge growth potential right under our nose in Dubai. But then all 7 emirates in the UAE are growing as they try and keep up with Dubai. So fortunately, thanks to our reputation, our business is highly scalable, making it fairly straightforward to expand into the other emirates. It just really involves obtaining licenses and approvals from the likes of Dubai Civil Defense or the neighboring civil defenses in the other emirates, and then building the right infrastructure to deliver our solutions. I say obtaining the right infrastructure, so more vehicles, more people. We are already expanding into Sharjah, so that's a neighboring emirate on one side of Dubai, and then Abu Dhabi, which is a neighboring emirate on the other side of Dubai. But Dubai is growing so fast that they're literally intertwining the emirates now. It used to be that you'd leave Dubai and drive down a highway to Abu Dhabi. Now it's like you don't leave Dubai and you enter Abu Dhabi. For what it's worth, some important information. But it's interesting that because that's what's driving our growth, right? All that construction is that each building is a new project for Al Shola Gas potentially. I mean, we're one of the top players in the region. And so that's why we've ordered more trucks, and we plan to order even more, and to ensure we also have the resources to take on those additional projects as we expand across the UAE. And then beyond that, we're bidding on projects in Saudi Arabia. It's a rapidly growing market. I won't talk about NEOM and all of that, but people can look up the NEOM City project and the demand that creates for gas and hydrogen and the likes. And then we're also bidding on projects throughout Africa. We have won some in the past, and we're working on some at the moment. So developing markets and international markets, that's areas where I'm particularly strong. I'm South African. I grew up doing business in Africa and in the Middle East and then into Europe. So that's where my network exists, and many of our team members the same. So we're just leveraging that expertise. And then additionally, we're pursuing several hydrogen opportunities, interestingly, in the Middle East, because the Bright Hydrogen team has been working with Al Shola Gas to present and bid on hydrogen projects. And the skills are transferable, right, between gas and hydrogen. So it makes sense for Bright Hydrogen to expand into the Middle East through Al Shola Gas. So I don't know if anyone knows this, probably no one really cares, but it's a fact nonetheless that Al Shola actually stands for Bright. So we've actually got Bright Gas and Bright Hydrogen. So there was actually some method behind the name, Al Shola, being Arabic for bright. And that really just sort of shows the synergies and the cross-selling potential between the two subsidiaries. And then, sorry, to take it even further, that UK fuel distribution acquisition also distributes gas in the UK, right? So as well as other products, And the other products it distributes other than gas have significant demand in Dubai. So you can see where it's headed, right? The seller of the UK company has already met with our Dubai team, met with Sanjeeb, who runs the business on the ground in Dubai with his team. And they've done that in order to really prepare to set up that distribution network for their UK products in the UAE. So I know I've digressed a bit, but it's just sort of all illustrating the whole picture of scalability and the whole potential that exists and the synergies between the different businesses and what we're obviously trying to create.
That was one of my follow-ups, and you actually just I wrote it down. Like I go, what's the cross-pollination factor here between both companies? And so thank you. You actually, I don't know if you read my brain there for a second, but I was literally taking notes on that. I'm like, I have a question. How could one hand wash the other here? But yeah, thank you for that answer. And you brought up the UK fuel distributor acquisition. What is the expected closing timeline, and how will the deal be financed non-dilutively?
So we expect to close the acquisition this year, bearing in mind it is a major acquisition and these processes do take time. So, for example, I'll just take the debt financing piece, right? There's several pieces in it, but the debt financing moves through stages like due diligence, initial term sheets, multiple follow-up term sheets. Then it goes to credit approval, in-person bank meetings where we and the sellers have to go and present to banks. Then there's the legal documentation, and then there's just that all happens before you even get to the final share purchase agreement, right? So, but that being said, there's also a lot that's already been done, right? So we're sort of in that phase now, but prior to that, a lot of the due diligence has already been completed. The terms of the deal are agreed, which is very important. There's often a lot of back and forth just to get to that point. And so that's why we progressed beyond the signing of the initial letter of intent to the signing of the heads of terms, because the terms were agreed. And then we're making excellent progress on the debt financing side. I was just in New York last week. It was very productive on that front. We're making very good progress over here in the UK too. It's a UK acquisition, obviously. But then you know, very importantly, what shareholders and those interested would want to know is how can that deal be financed non-dilutively? Well, I think simply put, the debt finance is raised against the acquisition target, and it's paid back by the acquisition target, right? So we pay the acquisition purchase price with the debt finance raised, and then the business will pay that back annually. So how is that possible? So it's a highly profitable business, firstly. Can't say too much now, but it was founded in the 90s. It's got over 10 million in annual EBITDA, no debt on its books. Very importantly, no debt on its books, and blue chip receivables. So the likes of Walmart in the US, similar types of customers over here. If you have those sort of receivables on your books as a 50 million revenue plus company in the US, you can get debt finance for your company for whatever it might be, an acquisition or whatever you might want to do to grow and expand your business. Right. So that business is growing year on year. It's got a strong track record with high street banks in the UK. So we're using that to obtain the debt finance. And as I said, you can obtain substantial debt finance when pursuing. And if you consider that so then you think, well, okay, well, how do you now pay that back? That's great and all, you get the deal done, and then you've got to pay that debt finance back, right? Of course. But the founder was also taking huge dividends out annually. So we know it's possible for the business to comfortably pay back the debt finance amount. And interestingly, the repayment amount is substantially less than the dividends which were being taken out. So that will obviously create additional profitability for Fusion Fuel, the parent. So that's what we mean when we say non-dilutive. We're not using convertible or promissory notes or other forms of dilutive financing to close the acquisition. So hopefully that explains.
Oh, come on. You don't want an endless convertible? Come on. Yeah. No, right on. And we can't. Could I ask you on a timeline for that, or is that just in the works? No timeline right now?
Well, like I said, we're looking to close it before the end of the year. I know if you spoke to the seller, he'll probably say much sooner than that. But me sitting in this seat, getting shot down for anything later than the 1st of January, I would say we're looking to close it before then. Yeah,
they're always watching, and you know that.
Yeah,
those shareholders are on those dates, especially those timelines. Remember the timeline pills, guys. Remember that, all right? So, and no, go ahead.
No, we just to say, I mean, we are anxious to get the deal done as soon as possible. It's highly beneficial to what we're looking to accomplish. We do have other deals. Our survival and our progress and our growth is not all hell-bent on just this acquisition, because it might sound like it when we talk about it. But really it's the one that's, out there publicly, because it's, certain things have progressed, and it's a very material amount of information that needed to be shared. But there is a lot of other things going on across the business. We're looking at a bunch of very innovative deals. Some things could happen sooner, but this one for us represents sort of what we're trying to achieve, which is we don't want to be such a small fish in a very, very big pond in the Nasdaq. We have to obviously substantially scale our operations, our revenue, our profitability, and get more to the forefront of all the energy companies. And there's plenty trading on the Nasdaq, right, and the NYC and whatnot. So that's why we've spoken about it, and that's why it's very important to us.
Yeah. For me, guys, that sounds like an acquisition of stability, and I like that. So, but hey, remember, this is not financial advice. This is just my opinion. And I have a couple questions here that my DMs have been blowing up, and like people have been emailing me. And I know a lot of you are watching this video for these couple questions that I have, and I'm going to pose them right now. It's coming. So can you provide more clarity on the QIND share exchange? When do you expect NASDAQ to finalize treatment? And when can QIND shareholders anticipate a significant update?
Yeah, so I'll do my best to explain that, Eric. I think there's really only so much I can say, and people will say, well, it's been a while since the acquisition was done, so how can you not really say more? Well, because there is a hell of a lot going on right now about it. So when there is information that we can share publicly, I mean, there literally wouldn't be a day before we write that press release or file that 6K and put the press release out so that everyone can know. But I think, and I'll say a few points to try and hopefully explain where things are at, but also just say a few other points which might annoy some people, but it is what it is. It's the reality of things. So no one necessarily has to like them or like me. There we are. So first, I think QIND shareholders need to understand that a full merger between QIND and Fusion Fuel has two key stages, right? We're in stage one, right? Because I've seen people commenting and asking when the share swap will happen, as if it's just a matter of deciding and clicking our fingers to make it happen. But I don't think many people have read the publicly filed documents from the QIND, from the first QIND transaction. So the one that closed on the 26th of November last year, right? I think instead everyone is just listening to what the last person said on some forum or Twitter. So I really do recommend reading the publicly filed information yourself, not you, Eric, other people. I think you may well have read it. Rather than relying on internet warriors, right? Because to summarize, we need to finalize the transaction that started last November. That's not finalized yet. And for that, as I mentioned in the update the other day, we're waiting for NASDAQ's response on how to treat the acquisition. Not for their approval, just for their response on what the steps will be to treat it, and then, or how we treat it. Because based on their response, we'll either have 2 more steps or several more steps to complete that first transaction. So in other words, it could happen quickly from here, or it could take longer. And then once we have that feedback, which will be soon, then we'll assess the next steps. And then we complete step 1, then we can complete step 2, right? Step 2 would be a potential share exchange. There are some other options. I can't say what those are now, but they lead to ultimately sort of the same end result. So for now, to summarize, our main priority is to complete the first step. You can't move on to step 2 before you complete step 1. It literally is impossible. So that's how it will work. And as I said, we're considering several options for QIND. Our goal all along has been to complete both steps 1 and 2. And then, as I also mentioned in our last updates, we've invested over $1 million in Hollywall gas this year, thanks to this QIND transaction, thanks to step 1, right? And I think it's fair to say, people might want to shoot me down for this. QIND would otherwise be dead without it. Yes, the operating business would continue to function profitably and whatnot, but I think, Eric, if you look at what's happening to other OTC companies that are 3 to 5 years past their hype period, possibly even some that you're positive about now, right? They're usually the newer ones. Those that are 3 to 5 years, have been in the mix for 3 to 5 years, many of them have fallen by the wayside, or they're just trying to stay alive. You probably wouldn't even know how many of them are getting CPR right now, right? But QIND is active and it's current with its filings. It's well funded and it's growing quickly, and that is no small thing. People assume it's for an SEC reporting company, it costs us around $500,000 a year to be SEC reporting on the OTC. And so my question is, for what benefit? Because the OTC doesn't really care if you post 20 million in annual revenue and 2 million in net income, whether it's audited. They say it should, it must be audited by people. Then you get it audited for what real benefit? You can't raise any form of clean capital on the OTC. Now, why am I saying this? It's not to create some sort of excuse. I mean, I'm the CEO of the company. I'm saying this purely because our interests are aligned with QIND shareholders. As I said, I'm the CEO of both companies. We're building a large integrated energy platform, a holding company with several cash-generating profitable assets. And QIND is the mainstay of the fusion fuel operations currently. But running two public companies is of absolutely no benefit to us, right? That's why I'm saying our interests are aligned, right? We want to complete step 1 and 2 of the QIND transaction, if we can call it that. We want to complete all stages of the merger and get all QIND shareholders into Fusion Fuel. So, I guess that's the summary of it. But as soon as we have definitive information, we will share it publicly. You can be assured of that. So,
I do have a follow-up. Yeah, I do have a follow-up. As it stands right now, what is the valuation that the QIND HTOO share exchange would execute at? I know you guys released something a while back on the valuation of QIND itself. So where are we at in regards to the valuation, and how would that be evaluated?
Yeah, I think it's too early to discuss that item specifically. As I said, we need to close the first stage before proceeding to any future QIND and Fusion Fuel transactions. My understanding is that there are a few options to consider. Ultimately, legal counsel will guide us through that once the first step of the QIND transaction is complete. But I would say, technically it should be the way the first transaction took place. But ultimately, as I said, there are a couple of options, and until we have the guidance on that, we really wouldn't be able to say anything further.
All right. There, guys, I did it. I asked those questions. So let me know in the comments section, what are your thoughts? And then you could entertain JP Backwell.
Eric, I can guarantee you that no one will. You can never be right in this world, or you're always wrong in someone's books. The reality is we've turned Fusion Fuel around, which was the first step. If QIND shareholders wanted their shares swapped into a Nasdaq company that gets delisted 3 months later, or a month later, or a week later, as it was, what good would that have been? So what we have done is gone about the business of creating the value, right? Now, should QIND shareholders be able to come in, or should one of the other options take place, there is at least the platform for value, which didn't exist on the OTC, certainly in my opinion. I'll probably get shot down for that, but that's the reality. And again, my opinion, it's not fact, it's just my opinion. Having been on both and a CEO of companies on both, I see how, I wouldn't say easier, it's a hell of a lot of hard work on NASDAQ, but we can create very real value. We can raise capital, we can build the business. And that was always the goal, right? Point being, we had to get through the stage of transforming the company. It was a hell of a lot of hard work, but we got there. Not saying we're completely through it, but we're broadly there. And now we can bring shareholders into something that has real lasting value. They can sell their shares on day one if they want, but the reality is they're coming into something with value, and they can choose to stick around as we get additional acquisitions done and continue to build the business. Or, ultimately they'll still be in a better situation. Now, I can't promise that will happen, but hopefully it's evidence, and hopefully you can hear sort of possibly some genuineness in what I'm saying, because we are working pretty damn hard on it.
And I will say, you see a lot of times when NASDAQ companies or microcaps have to split, and they just get choked out after that split. And it does seem like you guys are stable right now, which is nice. And like I said, that's my opinion, guys. read the disclaimer. All right, not financial advice, but I like how it's stabilizing here and how it's going to stair step up. That's sort of, or be stable, be a stable stock as opposed to like some volatile, stock that has these crazy fluctuations. I mean, this is what we want for me personally when I invest. You want something that's stable, that's moving in the right direction. You want to see company catalysts and the company doing the right things and stuff. So I just have a couple more questions. I want to talk about the South African joint venture. That looks promising. Do you see additional biomass steam projects with alien energy in the pipeline beyond the dairy facility?
Yeah, we certainly do. It's the reason we're there. We're not just there for one project. We're there actually because we really love the biomass steam energy technology that Alien Energy and the whole Alien Fuels group have developed. As I said, I'm South African, so maybe I'm slightly biased, but I know of the problems in South Africa, and I've always seen solutions to problems. And this has obviously given us an opportunity to invest in something which solves a very specific problem, which I'll try and highlight shortly. But at the same time, it generates lasting revenue and pretty substantial returns for us. But yeah, I digressed again. But the point is, there are several other projects already in the works with Alien Energy. And so we'll be exploring those. It's important for us, obviously, to get the first one operational, have the biomass steam energy system installed at the first plant, the dairy processing plant, and then start generating those returns. And then, while that is happening, while that first project is getting up and running, we'll then proceed with the next ones. Alien Energy has developed a very innovative system. It's highly reliable. It's largely a clean energy solution, which is important. It fits well with what we're looking to achieve as a company. And it addresses a major problem for South African industry. So people wouldn't necessarily know this, but the state electricity provider in South Africa is essentially dysfunctional. It's probably an understatement, really. But it means that there's no reliable electricity supply. It makes it impossible for factories running nearly 24 hours a day to produce the vital products, with which they need to operate. Without more dependable and cost-effective energy solutions. So solar doesn't provide enough energy. Wind isn't reliable enough or cost-effective enough. So the steam energy solutions are really in high demand from industry in South Africa. And we've got a very innovative piece of technology there. So that bodes very well for us on additional projects, yes.
Right on. Now, given currency fluctuations, between the US dollar and the euro, how are you hedging FX risk to ensure reported results fairly reflect growth?
Yes, I think firstly, let's just say the underlying businesses generate revenues in the same currency as their expenses. Obviously, so from an operating company perspective, there's no substantial mismatch between revenue and expenses as far as it concerns FX currency. The main currency impact we are experiencing relates to listing costs and SEC-related legal fees, legal counsel in the US, so on and so forth. And there it's actually benefited us because the US dollar has been weakening against the euro, right? But then our financial performance optics are affected, and that's likely why you've asked this question. So, our growth. It's an important point. I think the clear point is that as time passes, we'll aim to report the FX impact more transparently to shareholders. As I said, the dollar's weakened against the euro. It's benefited us, but it's not entirely clear when you look at the financials. So we'll obviously make sure that it's more transparently explained in future filings, but ultimately it doesn't affect us at the business level, right? Dirhams in the UAE, euros with our hydrogen projects and whatnot.
Right on. All right, now we got to talk convertible notes. All right, now that they're all gone, nearly all gone. All right, crazy. Yeah. What is your? So you guys thought this was going to be a dark question when I mentioned convertible notes, but no, they're nearly all gone. All right, so what is your capital structure strategy moving forward to avoid any of the further dilution?
Yeah, so the notes holders, the initial funders that came in towards the end of December, and then I think at about February, March, they've since converted out. but a good bunch of guys. We're incredibly grateful for them. They came in at a time where we really needed, we're busy with that restructuring of the company. So we're grateful for them for giving us that opportunity to get to the next stage as a company, and we sort of surged on from there. But they've converted out, they're gone, and we've been fortunate to largely clean up our cap table. And then alongside that, our burn rate as a company is massively reduced through our restructuring. So our hydrogen subsidiary runs very lean. It's getting awarded new contracts, so there's going to be cash coming in, and then our gas business is very profitable. So my point is simply that we're only looking to raise capital for significant growth of our business, right? For no other specific reason at this stage, and certainly for as far as we can foresee right now. We're not going to settle for being a $30 million revenue business, Eric. Sorry to say, 3 million net income or whatever it might be. It might look good from where we are now, but we're certainly looking to head beyond that to 75 million plus revenue, double-digit profitability, as I've spoken about previously. And so to get us to that point, we intend to use debt finance initially, and any additional capital we do raise will be for growth. And then we're also looking at some very innovative deals across the energy sector. So should we raise capital, it will be to close deals. As I've always said, we may raise capital here and there to close a cash generative, profitable deal, but we won't be raising capital to keep us afloat, which I think is a very important difference.
Okay. All right. So it's safe to say you're not looking for businesses that are bleeding cash, essentially.
Yeah, correct. And it was a bit of a strange thing. I was at a conference in New York, if I might add, last week, and we sat across the table from a ton of banks, and everyone wanted to speak to us about, a $2 million note or a $5 million note. And that's great because we've stabilized the business, and at a time we would have been very grateful for that. But right now, it was a bit of a strange thing because the main reason we were there was, for other meetings around acquisitions and things and other deals. But we still went through the process, and we sat through a number of meetings with various banks. It's good to have that network. And, we really didn't have any requirement for what they were offering. Convertible notes, promissory notes. It's not what we're after as a company. And I think that's a good thing, right?
Absolutely. All right. With Nasdaq compliance restored, what investor relations or visibility initiatives do you plan to continue to rebuild market confidence and attract new institutional investors?
Yeah, so another very good question, Eric. So look, now that we've stabilized the company, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. I don't really like that term, behind the scenes, but the reality is we know that we need to improve our presence in the market. We can't just be putting out press releases and hope that, tens of thousands of people will read it. So we are working behind the scenes. You'll certainly see us becoming more vocal across various channels quite soon. We've been rebuilding the website as we speak. Look at our website currently. It doesn't reflect the full entirety of our business right now today, and obviously what we're building forward with. So we look forward to launching the new one. We've engaged a really, really good company. Very excited to be working with them on that new website. So we're looking to launch that new site in a couple of weeks, but that's really sort of around that time where we're looking to become also a lot more vocal across various channels, right? And so that's obviously long overdue. You don't need to say it. I know it's very long overdue, and I've been working hard with Federico and the rest of the team to get that all up to the standard where it should be. And then as a company, we know and maintain that even without our new acquisitions, we're also incredibly undervalued. Again, this is my opinion. I've done a bunch of calculations. Our team have done a bunch of quite conservative calculations looking at the value of our underlying businesses. And we believe that, our valuation, that those calculations would show that, we should be even more than our double our current market cap, right? So I think it was obviously very important that we reduced our burn rate, that we integrated the gas business in, that we got compliance, and we progressed further down the road with new deals to give us something to really shout about. And we're getting there now. So that's the reason I mentioned the market cap component is, again, that's our opinion, that we're highly undervalued. But the point is, we knew that we needed to get, sort of our ducks in a row, the platform nicely solidified, nicely stable, so that then we can begin shouting about, what we're doing, what we've accomplished, and what we are accomplishing a lot more. So we're getting there now. With all that's going on, I think you'll certainly be seeing a lot more of Fusion Fuel over the coming weeks and months.
Right on. It's great to sit down with you and do a call. It's been a while, and any final message to shareholders or potential shareholders?
Well, I think I've covered a fair bit, so hopefully I've answered some questions for QI&D shareholders. I think a lot of the viewers here will be from the QI&D side. So hopefully people will understand that there's a process that we're going through. We're working very hard on it. It was important that we created the value in Fusion Fuel itself, and then going forward, we've got it's been very important for us. We've looked at a bunch of deals, Eric, over the last few months. You can imagine, as a small micro cap, if you look at a lot of the deals that are going on in the markets at the moment. I don't know how much people follow Nasdaq companies and sort of all the deals that are happening, but micro cap companies get approached for a bunch of deals, which create short-term bumps in stock prices and whatnot. And for us, it's been so important to just create real sustainable value in the business, which is why I've continued to purchase the acquisition. We kept our head down, kept focusing on that. We've invested heavily in our businesses so that they can keep growing, and then beyond that, there's a bunch of exciting stuff going on too. But we look forward to sharing more about that as soon as we can. And appreciate your time, appreciate everyone's support. I know it's just been press releases and we haven't actually said too much on camera, so to speak, but we'll hopefully do more of that soon.
Awesome. JP Backwell, CEO of HTOO. Thank you so much for joining us at the BFC VC2.
Appreciate your time, Eric. Thanks so much.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have a presentation from OTCQB, ticker CVAT. They are no stranger to the BFC. Please welcome CEO of Cavitation Technologies, Mr. Neil Voloshin.
Hi, everyone. I'm Neil Voloshin, CEO of Cavitation Technologies, Inc. And Eric, thank you for having me at Buffalo Fireside Chats virtual conference. This is the first time I'm at your conference, Eric, so I'd like to cover with you a lot of things that our company does and our business moving forward, the opportunities that I see in front of us. So a little bit of history. So we go back to how the company started. The company, was formed in 2007 and became publicly traded in 2008. So we've been in business for quite some time. If you look at it, what our company is, where we are, we have 1 million shares authorized, approximately 300 million shares outstanding. Of those 300 million, our free float is approximately 200 million. We do not have any convertible debt or any toxic financing. We do have $150,000 SBA loan, which we're currently paying at about $750 a month. So other than that, we're current across the board. We've been current across the board filing our Qs and Ks. So this is a little bit of a synopsis of our corporate structure and where we are as the enterprise. Now, let me cover a little bit what our technology does. The core principle behind our technology is cavitation, flow-through process. To conceptually to understand what it really does, for example, a metal pipe. Inside of metal pipe, we have various metal insertions that have various openings and configurations. The fluid is entering from point A and exiting through point B, which takes typically just a fraction of a second, goes through various changes. So at that point, because of a high-low pressure that's being created inside the pipe, the molecular structure and physical structure of fluid is completely broken. So what does it really mean, and why is it even important? The fact is that we do know in the basic chemistry that to accelerate a chemical reaction, the particle size and the temperature matters to accelerate any type of chemical reaction. So what our technology does is the following. Because we break the fluid to nanoparticles or micro vapor bubbles, the particle size becomes tiny, tiny, tiny. And at the molecular level, the temperature rises to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 degrees Celsius. So At that point, if we want to accelerate any sort of chemical reaction, we also need a fraction of any type of catalyst to achieve the desired matter. So our technology itself is a flow-through process. It's not a batch process. So the various flow-through capacities that we offer to our customers or end users range anywhere from 10 gallons per minute to as high as 500 gallons per minute. And technology is applicable to, again, multiple industries. We go from vegetable oil refining, hydrocarbons, any type of water for fluid processing of water remediation, alcoholic beverages. In recent years, we've developed our new technology, cavitation non-thermal plasma. We do believe that this particular technology is really a breakthrough. The concept is, again, we have our cavitation process, and that's kind of like a pre-treatment or a startup. And then we have plasma, which is today considered, fourth state matter. So in essence, it's almost like a lightning going through a fluid. But that's the reason it's called non-thermal. The advantage of it is the following, that any type of organics, bacteria, or viruses will be entirely annihilated by using non-thermal plasma. So the applications or industries that, non-thermal plasma could be implemented are just as many as we can possibly count. We can go into electronics, we can go into agriculture, foods, just water remediation. So the list will go on and on and on. And because technology itself or the system itself is very compact, it's probably 150, 200 pounds, about 4 feet tall, could be installed at the existing operation within 30 minutes. Be easy to install, run, it's all fully computerized. So we do believe that this particular technology could be breakthrough because, again, for example, in the industries where UV lights are being used, there is really no physical contact of the UV light and the fluid. With our particular technology, it is a physical contact. Initial research indicates to us that the process itself, the non-thermal plasma process, is by far more efficient than, for example, UV lights. So our technology all in all, including our core technology, which is cavitation, non-thermal plasma, is a true green technology. The reason I mentioned that because part of the advantages that cavitation technologies provides is really elimination or significant reduction in usage of chemicals. As I've mentioned to you earlier, that the chemical reaction, or let's say if we add any type of catalyst, will require only a fraction of what the typical or stoichiometric amount would be required through a conventional process. In some instances, for example, we will eliminate usage of chemicals entirely. In some instances, we'll use it by as high as 80%. So we're truly green technology company. And again, the end result is a significant reduction of operating costs for the end user. About 4 or 5 years ago, our company made a little bit of a shift because we primarily started focusing on water treatment, water remediation applications and industries. In the past, for example, one of our great strategic partners, this Med Balestro Group and Alfa Laval, our seller of a technology, vegetable oil refining, including biofuels. So about a year and a half ago, we sold some of our patents to Desmet for approximately $1 million, Desmet and Alfa Laval in essence. And we still have a little bit of a presence in vegetable oil refining, but not as much as we've had in the past years. Primarily, again, we discussed the fact that water treatment gives our company a huge opportunity. In about 2019, 2020, we did make our first footprint in water treatment space, and that was in the oil and gas industry. We did have commercial applications in that space. We did receive certain revenue. Unfortunately for us, the industry has shifted a little bit to more of an enterprise type of play from modular systems, and it took us several years to readjust our business model and bring a couple of more partners. This is something that we're exploring today as well. Meanwhile, what we're looking for right now is mainly the focus would be on our non-thermal plasma, cavitation non-thermal plasma. Sometimes we call it CNTP. And the reason for that is, again, today the need for clean water is just the paramount. We believe that non-thermal plasma, again, can really change make a fundamental shift the way the industry is treating water. For example, we've done some research in our facility. Our tap water, just supposedly, we're in California, supposedly it's drinkable, that water is drinkable, or pass it through our non-thermal plasma system. And the results were the following, as you can see on the screen. You have a glass of clear water, that's our tap water. Several days later, the tap water still remains the same. There are no changes. And the next glass to it, as you can see, this brownish kind of color inside the water, that was something running it through non-thermal plasma. We've made these separations of some heavy particles. Of course, a day later, you can see the water becomes clear, but you have a settlement in the glass. So that, in essence, what non-thermal plasma were able to do as far as cleaning water. So in essence, again, think about it. We were able to break the molecular structure, have plasma going exactly through water. It's a pass-through. And at that point, we were able to separate some of the non-organics, and those non-organics have become the settlements. The next slide, we can show you what we did with water when we infused some of the, a little bit of E. coli. And you can see that bacteria grew in the next several days, and you can see it as a spot. After the treatment with non-thermal plasma, there's no growth, no organics. So this is just the initial steps that we look into as far as what our technology can bring to the commercial space. Currently, we're running our system trials with several companies. One of the companies is Cargill. With Cargill, we're testing non-thermal plasma, and again, an elimination of organics, treating water. I mean, there are multiple applications of where we think that non-thermal plasma can work. So the process is underway. We shipped the unit to Cargill about a month ago. So we're just going through protocols and getting quite a few things done. The next project that we're currently looking at is BMI Group in Port Huron, not far from Detroit. In this particular space, we are bringing our core technology, cavitation system, and non-thermal plasma. The objective there is the removal or elimination of PFAS, which is forever chemical, or perhaps we can do a separation of PFAS from the molecules because they're really tiny particles. And perhaps the conventional process of removal of PFAS will become significantly better or significantly faster. So those are two areas right now we're currently testing our systems. Those are underway, and let's say I'm looking for an opportunities to commercialize things, what our non-thermal plasma can do. About 5 years ago, we've developed a technology related to treatment or processing of alcoholic beverages. Again, the technology itself is based on cavitation. This is not a distillation or filtration process. So we're able to treat fluids, or in that particular instance, alcohol, to a level where certain toxins or impurities in alcohol, which are always present, were significantly reduced or eliminated. So fast forward, what does it really do? Less hangovers, by far amplified or smoother taste of alcohol. For, let's say, cocktail preparation, because of the taste of alcohol becomes very smooth. The consumer doesn't need to add as much sugars or, let's say, simple syrup to cover up the taste of alcohol itself. And for wine drinkers, the objective is we see some analytics initially, that the reduction of sulfites. Wines are a bit trickier because red and white wines are, behave quite differently, but we can clearly see that the reduction of sulfites is taking place as well. So fast forward, what we did, we created a product called BarMuse. BarMuse is purely for the consumers. It is a smart appliance. It is operational through a mobile device, and consumer can really alternate the process to their liking or anything they would like to do with alcohol. The consumer can set up different times based on the alcohol itself, can pick and choose, make notes. The concept of the product will be similar to what Keurig and SodaStream did. And, Keurig was sold for, $13 billion. We're shifting in a similar way in alcoholic beverages, where there is a device for a consumer, where a consumer can process the alcohol of their choice. And down the road, we're going to provide them with our own supply, for example, vodka, whiskeys, you name it. It is really going to be a razor and blade business model. And because it's a smart appliance, we can clearly collect a lot of data, what consumers really do, how they buy, how they process alcohol. We did make presentations at Amazon Launchpad. Amazon absolutely loved the product. As soon as we go to production, Amazon is going to be our first retail outlet. How did we arrive at that? About 10 years ago, we created our own brand of vodka, which we never commercialized, but we just just wanted to at least understand where we stack up against the competition. What does it really do? Because we could clearly taste the difference in terms of smoothness of alcohol. We were rated number one rated vodka made in the US, 95 points. You can see that at www.tastings.com. We're still number one rated vodka made 10 years later, 95 point rated, and we're top 15 in the world. It literally takes us a second to make this product, depict the fact of how technology works. It changes the molecular structure of fluids. Because of that, technology really elevates the value proposition for a consumer and provides much, much, much better product. Also, you can check out quite a bit of information on bar muse and alcoholic beverages at alchemybeveragesinc.com or barmuse.com. You'd be able to see how the product works. The last segment I'd like for us to discuss is the fact that recently the company did announce that we are opening a new division, 100% owned subsidiary, focusing primarily on crypto space. For example, our non-thermal plasma technology, we believe, can make fundamental changes in treating fluids that are introduced today for cooling systems in server or IT farms. So the objective would be to, for example, recycling of those fluids that may carry, for example, PFAS. The same, we go through the same process. A reduction of impurities in fluid. That fluid perhaps could be, again, recycled and reused in the process. Or if it is disposal rate, then it's going to be a safe way to dispose. Again, no usage of chemicals. We believe that opportunity will come along. Sub that we form right now is called Zara. In the next, 6 to 8 weeks, you're going to see quite a few things that we're going to be developing on the crypto side. So stay tuned. We're going to be updating. At the end, I would like to thank Eric again. Thank you for having me on Buffalo Fireside Chats virtual conference. I think you're doing a great job, man, allowing small companies speak to the public. And that's, I think, just a great opportunity for us and for many, many small cap companies. Again, thank you for joining us today and have a great day, everyone.
Next up, we have a low float music industry pick. I am talking about none other than Jeffrey James of Picklejar, OTCID, ticker PKLE. Let's get into it, guys.
Welcome. My name is Jeff James. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Picklejar Entertainment Group. Wanted to say thank you for joining me today to learn a little bit more about the vision of our company, the outlook for the next 18 months, and of course, what we're really up to behind the scenes of the Picklejar brand. Also wanted to say thank you to our friends at the BFC community, the trader investor communities, and of course to all of our shareholders who continue to make Picklejar great and helping us build our business over the last several years. I also want to take an opportunity to thank our leadership team and our management teams, especially my partner, Christian Borowski, the president of Picklejar, as well as our board members, Dale Story, Judy Lakin, and Callie Valentine for their immeasurable mentorship and leadership over the last 4 years. I began my career at a small radio station, pulling records, getting coffee, and having things thrown at me at the age of 14. Parlayed that somehow into a career opportunity at Atlantic Records with working with great artists, and then ultimately ended up running the largest post-production studio in Manhattan. I left the entertainment industry and began building technology for multiple different companies. And over the last 20 years, worked at GE Capital, also worked with brands like Sony, HP, and major corporations, helping solve technology problems for them. And so I'm very thankful for the opportunities that I've had, but all of that experience, bringing that in to helping guide Picklejar to what we believe is going to be an exciting opportunity for everyone involved. When we started Picklejar, Christian and I had a simple idea. How do we move money from a fan to an artist while they're on stage? A frictionless way that would give the artist the ability to keep 100% of the money that they had, as well as, or that they made, as well as own their fan base, as well as be able to give their talent as a gift back to nonprofits, raising money in times of natural disaster or uncertainty in a community. And what that has actually grown to over the last 4 to 5 years is a full suite of technology-driven services where integration and aggregation and activation are the keys of our business. We noticed that in talking to thousands of artists over the last several years, it was death by 1,000 paper cuts, meaning that every time they went out to make money, every time they went to transact with their fan base, somebody had their fingers in their pocket. And so we began to look instinctively at how could we help not just the artists, but the venues as well, and ultimately build a greater value in a data set around each of those touch points. A little bit of history for those of you who don't know our business or know about Picklejar. We founded the company back in 2020. My wife and I put in the first $1 million into the business, raising some other money from friends and family, and began building out what we would call the original Picklejar Live app. That first suite of services was really focused on, again, artist payments, moving money back and forth between fans and venues to artists. And then ultimately, as we began to grow our business in 2022, began to realize that there were multiple other products and services that needed to be attached to the platform, and begin expanding those services, including looking for unique ways to lower our cost of acquisition of customers through very simple but obvious ways of reaching more consumers that were really in touch with and loved live entertainment and live music. And so since then, we've launched a number of different initiatives, leading us up to now where we're at as a company, really beginning to build our business with unit economics that make more sense and give us better leverage on our yield and margins over the next 18 months. We've received a lot of accolades over that time, and we're very grateful for not just where we started, but where we're going. The industry that we began in was country music. We felt like that was in alignment with both the culture of tipping, as we began as a small tipping app, but more importantly, began to get build stronger relationships inside the industry, who gave us immeasurable feedback of how we could not just improve the product, but make it more valuable for all the key stakeholders in the music and entertainment industry. And so for that, we've been immeasurably grateful for each of those relationships and the accolades that they've given to us and our team. The challenge really within the industry is broken into three segments. First, we all know that artists are starving. You've got over 53 million artists in the US alone. And they really do not have a way to transact with their fan base, and even with venues for that matter, without losing a little bit of that percentage or a lot of the percentage of what they make on that front. In addition to that, you've got small to mid-sized venues. We focus on market of room caps of 250 to 2,500. They're finding the profitability of both their venue and an operational style, as well as the cost of marketing, has gone up significantly. And they're looking for ways to consolidate and aggregate each of those touch points. In addition to that, the advertising engagement is down across multiple sectors. Then what we found is that while the rise of spend is going up, the effectiveness of that is not. And so what we have discovered is brands are seeking better ways to connect with their fans through artists, and these come down to experiential opportunities as well as in-venue touch points. So fishing where the drunks are, as a good friend of mine once said, and the opportunity to really connect with those artists in the moment, or those fan bases in the moments with those artists. So we also looked at the industry from a fragmentation perspective. Each of these different elements of live entertainment are siloed. There's no share of wallet growth or very limited share of wallet growth. And what that does is two things. One, it drives up the customer acquisition costs for each party involved. It also limits who they can talk to and when they can talk to them, and really also negatively impacts their ultimate reach. So if you think about an artist and a venue both having to talk to so many different people in so many different areas, that increases the cost of both the transaction of the marketing as well as the customer service fees. And then most notably, it negatively impacts the fan ownership. So for example, if you're using a ticketing platform and you sell a ticket to John Doe, it's hard to move John Doe's data, even if you get it, into an email marketing campaign that would entice them to come back and spend more at your venue. And so as we began to build out our technology base, we realized that there was a great opportunity to get all three of those flywheels going, the artist, the venue, and the brands, through two really efficient ways of creating market opportunity and awareness. One is our programming. The second is inside the app or inside the platform. That includes the app, the digital signage, and the other touch points that we have. More screens mean more artists and events. This gives us the ability to optimize our ad growth And most importantly, and what we think is the future of Picklejar is really the insights, the 360-degree view of the fan to be able to leverage that for greater relationships with big brands and music labels and celebrity artists. So the platform today is really kind of four key tenets. There's embedded payments that are built in. We have programming and artist content, promotional engagement tools, and most importantly, new ad pods and new advertising network inventory that we can leverage with our brand partners. Again, the goal was to unify each of these touch points inside of our ecosystem so that you could efficiently drive both content and revenue and maximize the entire share of wallet at the fan level. It's important to understand that in Picklejar, the fan is the product. And so one of the key components of that is building out an ecosystem that makes them want to engage. So the convergence really of music and money and matching is at the intersection of where Picklejar is at. Each of these different platforms reside all in one single app. They're all unified by single sign-on. They all have their own different portals. And so this is a scalable cross-application technology that allows us now very flexibly to add more bundles, more products, and more services inside this ecosystem. So the scalability from what we've invested over the last 4 years really is the catalyst for our growth potential in the coming 18 months. This breaks down into, okay, well, how do you tell the world about it? So we went off and developed a nationally syndicated radio show called Picklejar Up All Night. This is hosted by Katie and Scott. They're amazing talent. Of course, Katie Cook was the CMT top 20 host for over 20 years. Scott has come from a great background of programming, and that radio show really does a couple things for us. It's more than just a radio show. It's a way for us to promote the Picklejar brand, promote artists that are up and coming on Picklejar, as well as work with larger labels and brands to promote their artists as well in our local markets. It also allows us the opportunity to create streaming services around the show and other podcast ancillaries around the show, which we're in conversations with to launch in Q4 of 2025. And we're also working on 2 new syndicated shows that are very uniquely positioned for our affiliate market that will help grow their audience and maintain some new advertising opportunities as well. At the tip of the spear for Picklejar is our venue managed services. So when we work with a venue, we're able to go in and give them a couple of services that are interconnected and integrated to lower their cost of communicating with their customer base and lower their cost of acquisition for patrons to come to their venue. First is our venue listing and performance discovery inside the Picklejar Live app. We also have the Pickcaster platform, which is digital signage with an industry-first revenue share model for those venues. So when you walk in, there are the TVs. This is a 4-zoned digital signage, first in the industry, that allows the venue real estate to not only promote their venue and upcoming artists and upcoming events, but also in partnership with Picklejar, sell advertising on that platform. So it again gives us the opportunity to really monetize that passive patron that's not just there for an event, but just there for a beer. In addition to that, we're offering them broadband services in partnership with AT&T and Verizon. And then most notably in the venue managed services suite is our PickPay ticketing system. So this platform, which was rolled out in 2024, which has gained exceeding interest from our venue partners, allows you not only to sell a ticket online like you might do with an Eventbrite or another ticketing platform, but also be able to sell tickets live at the door and be able to attach a customer record to that through phone number or email for that customer to earn loyalty reward points, get access to early bird specials, etc. Think of it like a fan club, if you will, for a local venue, all of which is fed into the FanVivo marketing CRM platform to automate communications, either it's email or SMS with that customer base. So each of those proprietary technologies are sitting inside of our ecosystem stack to lower the cost of customer acquisition, increase the velocity of their revenues, and more importantly, promote the artists that are at that venue so that we can activate their fan base on behalf of all the parties associated with that live performance. So in each of the areas of our business, we're literally taking the fan behavior, the artist economics, and the venue performance and becoming that operating system for the venues. So if you think of artist as the heart of Picklejar, venues are the core. And so the VMS platform and the service offering that we have there translates to how we activate both the audience and our media partners. But all of that data is coming back into our insights division now, allowing us to build a stronger consumer behavior insight that we believe in 2026 will be a greater part of our revenue, as well as a unique part of Picklejar as an ecosystem to drive more value for our shareholders. The unit economics of our business are just starting to mature. Like any great startup, we've tried a lot of things, failed at a lot of things, really trying to find the best blend of services and offerings that we're integrated with. But at the high level, taking both venue managed services and our programming, we're able to build a network of both venues and fans leveraging the content derived from each of those touch points and begin to offer to the brands a unique advertising and marketing opportunity, on-premise activation, on-premise advertising that really is what they're looking for. And in the case of that, in our partnership with Molson Coors, we were able to, through this process, reduce their CPM from $12 down to just less than $3. And if you'd like to learn more about that, you can read our business case studies on picklejar.com, and happy to share with you more information about that. We believe this model, bringing and unifying all of these touch points and the transaction flows, not only lowers our cost of acquisition, but more importantly, drives our revenue in 25 and 26. So really, our higher margins come from those artist spotlights and the advertising elements, whereas the transactional revenue becomes a less of a part of our business model. But the data is really where we're driving tremendous value on that advertising front. We brought on 2 new key executives earlier this year to really help us round out our business and transition us to really a full service integrated entertainment SaaS model. This was a key pivot in our company's history, as we've had a couple of those along the way. But as we were bolting on each of these different technologies, we really made an effort earlier this year through some capital expenditures to efficiently streamline each of those touch points along the way. And so I've continued to financially support the business from that perspective in order for us to achieve a lot of the milestones that we have out in front of us. So we're pushing new updates across multiple different partners in Q3 of this year. We're also introducing a new subscription model, which is part of the SaaS platform, which would be a subscription model for artists for both the delivery of their EPKs, as well as giving them the opportunity to connect with venues who are looking for artists. That's through our partnership with Sonic Bids, which we announced earlier this year. And then we're also launching a new ticketing version of our platform for experiential events. So these are festivals, music festivals, and also other types of experiences in a market where we are connecting the app, our point of sale system, and also our ticketing platform in order to give a more unified experience to those people that are going to those off-premise experiences. The other part of our business that we're launching in Q4 this year is the FanVivo marketing tools I spoke about just a moment ago. This is a very unique CRM platform that integrates email marketing, SMS marketing, social media, scheduling and marketing, plus advertising on all of the major platforms, and also Google Analytics. So it's basically a one place for a venue or an artist to be able to go in and look at how they're touching each of those customers through each of those different communication methods, but again, unified with both the app and the ticketing engine, so that as you're connecting with them and transacting with them, you're automatically flowing them into this marketing engine. And then, of course, I mentioned earlier, Frank Ruppin has been working tirelessly on helping us develop our new tools for our AI-driven data modeling and insights. We hope to launch that in Q1, or at least a beta version of that in Q1 of this year. And so that's going to be a clear focus of our business going forward. In addition to those great things, we also, through the radio show, have the opportunity to work with our syndication partners really to enter into a market in a much faster way. So working with both the advertisers that are on their stations today, as well as the venue partnerships that they already have in their local market, we're able to bring on new venues into the VMS. And Chad Thillenborger, who is our EVP of VMS, or Venue Managed Services, is working now with those groups. Also working with their sales organizations, identifying advertisers in that local market that would also want to advertise in the venue, where our digital signage, our Pickcaster platform is there. And then this expands not just the audience reach from the radio show, but we're also expanding that audience reach through the artists playing at those venues and the venue's built-in patronage. So it aligns very well with a lot of the rising tailwinds in the industry, but more importantly, gives us a strategic advantage against some of these single service operators that are not interconnected and unified through their technology stack the way that we are. This creates a very flexible platform for us. We believe that's what drives shareholder value. We are upscaling that platform. Our goal is to expand our reach both from the United States and Canadian level to some other markets that we're currently working with and through. We have a clear path to near-term profitability. We believe the radio show, our artist spotlight marketing campaigns are going to be a clear driver of that as the tailwinds from VMS begin to pick up in Q1 of next year. We also are looking to expand the service adoption of venue managed services inside of these venues. So when you think about going into a venue, they may already have a ticketing platform, but we can initially start with our Pickcaster digital signage or our broadband services. And so our goal is to really get these guys to be buying 2 or 3 to 4 of our different products or engaging with us on those products. In addition to that, we are taking advantage of some key opportunities in our pipeline, both through our partnership with Sonic Bids, as well as the ones that Chad and his team are developing for us, focusing on 5 key markets initially: Nashville, Houston, Austin, Chicago, and New Orleans. So those are some key markets that we're working on, as well expanding out where we already have venues in the Florida market. We'll be focusing on that in Q1 of next year. So our long-term growth opportunity really centers on 2 things, right? It centers on both the transactional revenue as well as the brand activation revenue inside the Picklejar ecosystem. But it also focuses on this yield, this average yield of margin, we believe raises up the value of the business long term. And so we're very much focused on lower cost bolt-ons and service options, especially in the monthly recurring revenue angle that would help grow that yield, that margin yield for us over the next several quarters. We have a very aggressive roadmap to increase our average revenue per user. As I talked about before, the millions of dollars over the last several years that we've spent building this platform really allow us to make flexible changes and move quickly in the marketplace. And as we've talked to thousands of constituents that are using the platform today, it's really great in collaboration for them to give us feedback. The team is flexible enough to be able to say, hey, we've got this technology, we can build this, or we can add this on. And so really, this has been a collaborative growth of the platform, solving real business problems at each of the different levels of our customer base, including music labels, large brands, and larger venues as we begin to expand that venue managed services offering. So in 2024, we began to really shift our business, getting ready for what we believe would be a building year, which 2025 has definitely been a building year for us. It required more capital to be put in. It required more sacrifice from this incredible management team and all of the souls that work on Picklejar behind the scenes, but aligning us into really these 3 areas. So tip of the spear being venue managed services. really reaching out, building that brand activation through a couple of different of the services I described before, focusing on our audience and media marketplace. This is really around our, again, experiential marketing, our search advertising, and growing the user adoption inside the app itself through a number of different services that are offered there, whether it's watch podcasts, listen to music from the artist, engage with products that they can purchase, or buy more tickets to go to more live music events. But the last part is the intelligent data insights. And this is where I am focused specifically for our outlook for the next 18 months. We believe that the growth rate inside the E&M sector is going to give us the opportunity to really apply these data insights into a market opportunity that will grow us over the next 12 months. We already have people asking for this data. And again, this is unified data, or a 360-degree view data of the fan that helps them spend their dollars, their advertising dollars better, activate more consumers inside and outside the venues, and ultimately support that venue where the congregation of these consumers and these transactions are happening. So it's a really key element of our business to get that part of it up and going. One of the key initiatives for this year that I put forth to the leadership team was improving our corporate governance and our executing on our pipeline. So many of you who might have been following us have noticed that we're doing more company updates. We're trying to provide more data out into the marketplace, but we are really using the tailwinds in the entertainment sector to really help drive our business. Obviously, our revenue model has expanded significantly since 2024 and into 2025. We're also actively pursuing 3 acquisitions, and one which we hope to announce very shortly. 2 are mid-sized ticketing companies that are regional in nature. And so we're beginning to expand our accretive growth as well as our organic growth. And then, of course, we're looking to complete our 2023 and 2024 audit, hopefully in October. That's our goal right now, to get us to fully reporting. And so we continue to push on that objective, and we feel very confident about that over the next several weeks. And more announcements will be made on that. So at the end of the day, what's my job? My job is to help increase shareholder value along the way. There are really kind of 5 key areas of that. As I focused on the alignment for Q3 and Q4, each of these have OKRs that are part of our growth strategy between now and the end of the year. Again, I really will focus on 2 of these here. It's growing the venue managed services division, and it's also around strengthening our leadership and operational scale. That has been a core focus of this leadership group over the last, I would say, 8 to 12 weeks. Really getting us on that solid footing and getting ready for the next big growth strategy that we have. I want to thank you again for your time today and letting me introduce Picklejar to you. Again, our mission is empowering artists and venues to achieve more. I think that what we have developed over the last 4 years is not just the beginning of something great. It is something great. And we have really had positive feedback from the industry and those users on our platform that really see the power of what we're delivering as we unify the music and entertainment system and the transactions associated with that. So our next shareholder meeting is coming up on September 25th at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you'd like more information on that, feel free to visit our investor page at picklejar.com, as well as if you'd like to reach out, ask any questions. I love to talk to shareholders, love to answer questions and share with you the vision of our business. Feel free to email me or follow me on X, ask any questions that you might like to. Again, a huge thanks to the BFC community for helping put this on today and giving us the platform to share more about Picklejar. And I ask you to do this one last thing, as I ask all shareholders and those people that are being introduced to Picklejar for the first time, take a moment, download the Picklejar Live app, find any artist you want to, and send them $5. You will change their day, you'll put a smile on their face, and you'll help them realize somebody out there does believe artist is first. Thanks again for the time. Have a great day.
Now we have a returning BFCVC guest who has done major work in the global cannabis industry. Please welcome Gabriel Diaz, CEO of Medcana, OTCID ticker SFWJ.
Hello, Buffalo Fireside Chat investors. Welcome. Eric, thank you very much for inviting me to this conference. It is an honor to be able to participate in this again. Thank you very, very much. I am honored to be here, guys, and I want to what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you an introduction into who we are, but also for those of you that already know us, you'll get an update on where we are and what we're doing. We're extremely happy with what's happened since the last conference. So I think you guys will be very happy to hear where we're at. Without further ado, then let's start with a presentation. Our agenda will be, again, who we are, why we're in pharmaceutical cannabis, what the global market looks like, where and why we're there geographically, where we were on the last update, where we are now, and where we are going. Well, Software Effective Solutions Corporation is SFWJ, traded on the OTC markets. DBA is Medcana. We are working on audits and getting the name changed over, but we're still trading under SFWJ. We are structured as a global holding company. We have 7 cannabis companies in Colombia, fully registered to grow THC and CBD, process and export. One of those companies has a license to register 100 genetics varieties, which is tremendous. We have one agrotech company that we acquired a majority stake in order to save quite a bit on the deployment of our very, very large planting facility. We have one Australian company with pending cannabis import and distribution licenses. We have that I'll talk about in a little bit. We have one software company that provides ERP solutions for internal use and software as a service for external cannabis companies, and that is currently in development. Industry is pharmaceutical grade cannabis production and systems, and our geography is in South America, Colombia, and currently Australia. Our company mission and vision is to become a global leader in pharmaceutical grade cannabis production and distribution. We are very happy to say that we're getting there very quickly. Our mission is to leverage innovation, sustainability, and traceability to deliver top-tier cannabis products. Our core strengths are, again, these fully licensed and compliant these 7 companies that have been acquired in Colombia. They're aggregated in 259 acres of land with a capacity to produce 27 acres, with a capacity to have 27 acres of greenhouses where we will be producing cannabis. We have the ERP company and the agricultural technology integration company. Our strategic international partnerships exist already in Germany, Australia, and we are working on Brazil. The leadership team is comprised by myself, serial entrepreneur. I've built and sold multiple telecom companies, been involved in multiple other ventures, been an advisor to tech incubators, was the former president of the American AEM, Mexican Business and Entrepreneurs Association in Austin, Texas. Our senior advisor in Colombia is Wilmar Gorin, who is CEO of Anutea. The co-founder of the company has been involved in it for 7 years, an expert in greenhouse operations based in Medellin. He brings extensive experience in cannabis cultivation with a background of flower cultivation and a serial entrepreneur as well. Jairo Alexander Castro is our agricultural engineer and regulatory compliance advisor. He was a former member of the Regulatory Council, one of 3 agriculture engineers that worked for the Ministry of Justice, who contributed in drafting the technical regulations for the cannabis law. So as our advisor, we are extremely lucky to have him as an advisor. He not only knows compliance and regulations, he helped write them. So our ag director has 20 years of experience. His name is Diego Flores. He's got 20 years of experience as production director in the flower industry. He's trained and worked in Switzerland in pharmaceutical cannabis production. And he is phenomenal. What keeps our structure very light is our last team member. He's really CEO of Strata Financial. Snyder Roldan is CEO of Strata Financial, who runs our legal, regulatory, compliance, finance, and HR. He is an ex-Deloitte member, founder of Strata Financial in 2019, and it is his operation that keeps us very light and keeps our overhead very low. Why pharmaceutical cannabis? Under each one of these bullet points are 7 to 10 disorders and illnesses that cannabis helps with. It is extremely broad. I'm not going to get into it, but the market is absolutely there because of this. And not only the market, but the global impact on people, on helping people is absolutely there. But neurological disorders, pain and inflammation, mental health and behavioral support, autoimmune and inflammatory conditions, endocrine and metabolic disorders, pediatric applications. And again, under each bullet point, there are many illnesses that cannabis helps with. What do the global opportunities look like? I've talked about this in previous presentations. Brazil is the gorilla in the room. Brazil, 6 years ago, legalized recreational use with 40 grams of consumption per person per month. However, they never regulated or legalized how this gets distributed. So they've been going through a process to generate a public-private model for cannabis distribution that involves pharmaceutical-grade cannabis. When this opens up, there are approximately 9 million regular cannabis users consuming 40 grams per month, equating to 360 metric tons per month. Just to give you an idea of the scale, Colombia exported approximately 10 metric tons of cannabis last year. And the global market is not ready to supply a country of 250 million with 9 million users. So the global demand is going to go through the roof. Brazil has already stated that they will never allow cannabis crops to be planted in the country because it's very hard to regulate it. It's such an expansive country. There's so much land that it's very hard to regulate it. The next one, obviously, Europe and Australia are humongous. It's a $3.6 billion market in 2025, and it's projected to reach 12.7 by 2033, 18% growth. Germany leads the market with 26.7% share. And many other countries in Europe are legalizing the use of pharmaceutical or have legalized the use of pharmaceutical. Many are going to legalize recreational. And when recreational gets legalized, again, the safeguards are there to make sure that it's pharmaceutical grade that is being sold. So that, again, increases our market. Australian legal cannabis market was estimated at 186.4 million in 2025 and expected to be at 228 million. Much smaller than Europe, but a phenomenal market because of the growth it is going to continue to have, but also because it is a global hub for cannabis cultivation, research, and exports, driven by a very clear regulatory climate. In cultivation, however, Australia has fallen back. It doesn't have the correct weather or the correct labor structure, so that gives us a huge advantage. But as a global aggregate, again, the market is estimated at $42.91 billion in 2025, up from 33.52 in 2024, with again average growth of 27.5 between 2025 and 2030. So we're in the right place at the right time in an industry that's starting. I'll tell you what we have. We have the right location. We are 2,100 meters or 6,900 feet above sea elevation, which gives a spring-like climate, 74 degrees year-round, 12 hours of daylight year-round, and approximately 90 inches of rainfall year-round. On top of that, we had significant labor cost efficiencies due to the labor force being highly focused, especially in this area, on flower production, which is Colombia's largest export. And so with that, we have a phenomenal workforce that's not just inexpensive, but also already trained to grow with us. The other thing that we have is because of all these factors, we are able to squeeze in 4 annual growth cycles with very little additional energy on our behalf. Energy meaning electricity to have lights, warm, cool. So very, very big advantages. Where we were on the last update, let's talk a little bit about that. On the last conference, HTOO is on track to generate $1 million in revenue this year. We continue to be on track. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We had 2,400 square meters of greenhouses completed and planting to begin in July. That has happened, and you can see that on this picture. This is the greenhouse where we're currently planting the cycles in. We planted 3 of these humps. Next, we are planting 2 of these humps in the next 15 days, and then the other 2, and then we continue to the build out of the next facility, which is an additional 2,300 square meters. This has changed. I'll show you on the next slide why. The processing facility was planned and ready for construction. The construction area was planned to be in this small portion, and that has changed. I'll talk about that in the next slide. All the supporting infrastructure, roads, rainwater collection, and ramp pump system reservoir had been completed. That remains. Australia company was being established, fully licensed operations in Colombia with infrastructure ready for full-scale production. Strong relationship with authorities. Even though you've seen some stuff on the news, we still remain in a very calm area, very calm political climate locally, very pro-cannabis and pro-agriculture from both political right and left. Extremely safe and secure region of the country with strong police and military presence in the area, with direct radio access for emergencies. We are in a very safe area, and nothing has changed about that. But where we are on growing, as you can see, these pictures, as you can see, this picture is from last Friday. We have 3,500 plants in week 5 of 12. Our next cycle starts in 2 weeks with 2,500 plants, those other 2 humps, and then we continue. We are running a large test with non-pharma CBD in semi-open space for quick cash flow. What's happened globally is a lot of the producers are starting to focus on THC, and especially the indoor growers. And so CBD prices have plummeted. So CBD extracts prices are going up, and we are running a test with a very light structure that I'll show you in a video in a little bit. If that works, we're going to continue to add these ultra light structures as we grow the THC. We will drop those spaces and replace them with THC. But we also have to double the size of the processing facility in order to accommodate much higher yields that we were expecting. This has changed quite a bit. You can see Terrace 1, the area that was supposed to be destined for production for processing was back here. We've actually taken a third, and we're building I believe it's a 2,800 square meter facility to be able to process the yield that we're expecting. So the additional 2,300 square meters are on hold until we finish the processing, and then we will continue. However, again, in this space, we are currently preparing for this very light greenhouse crop of 1,000 plants to test. We have a very strong genetic on the CBD, so we're going to see how that goes. Our farmer certification process has begun. It began with the certification with planting. We have a 4 to 6 month process for certification, so we're well on track for it. All of our infrastructure is built to certification standards. We don't expect any issues with that. Again, supporting infrastructure, fully licensed, everything remains the same. With the last bullet points, nothing has changed from a political standpoint. Nothing has changed from a regulatory standpoint. We're very, very happy. HTOO becomes a larger player. HTOO is, again, on track to generate approximately $1 million in revenue. However, we closed one $450,000 deal with one of the largest flower growing companies in the country. We have quite a few more on the table. This is thanks to the hiring of a new commercial director, Jorge Correa, who comes from the industry and has brought has really well because of him and our current CEO Juan Ricardo Vélez, we were able to participate in the largest agricultural show in Colombia, Agrofuturo. We had excellent results. We have incredible opportunities in cannabis. We have determined that irrigation systems in coffee plantations can increase production by a nominal rate of 40%. So we're very excited about that. We have a few projects that will close probably next month in this area. We have projects in banana plantations. We have a project in a 1,500 hectare, which is about 3,500 acres of banana, coconut, and again, banana plantations. We're in negotiations with a global coffee producer to increase yields among all their plantations with our technology. And we have a distribution agreement with one of the largest irrigation pivot companies on the planet, which we are starting to distribute in Colombia. Again, we also signed a new agreement for production of greenhouses in the country, better cost and faster delivery. We were buying from an Israeli company that was sourcing from that was producing them in China. We now have sourced local production of the structures, and we are building the rest of the structures ourselves. So we have much better costs and faster delivery. We've also created an internship program with a local university for irrigation design engineers to ensure growth. We've been growing very quickly. So again, HTOO is growing extremely well. Cannabis business, where are we today? We attended the Australian Cannabis Convention in Melbourne with phenomenal results. One of the biggest things that has me excited the most is the quality of cannabis is a home run. It's an absolute home run. Because we have the sun, because we're growing in these greenhouses that are semi-open, our plants receive direct contact with the elements. Even though the average temperature is 74 degrees, there's still about a 10 to 15 degree variance. We let wind in. We have mesh to protect from birds and insects, but we let the wind in. So this, as well as the photonic load that is in these latitudes and longitudes, allow the plants to develop an extreme amount of terpenes that doesn't happen when flower cannabis gets grown indoor. So what's happened is we're seeing cannabis with 15 to 50% more terpenes, and these terpenes, just like cannabinoids, have tremendous medicinal qualities. Doctors are looking for high terpenes to prescribe. And so we ran across that, and this was me personally talking to people at the Cannabis show and realizing that not only do we have a premium product, but we have a premium product that differentiates it with a huge differentiation from any indoor grower anywhere on the planet. We also made great strides on import and logistics. Our licensing is on the edge of being approved. We're in the very final phases. And again, we even have some clients lined up and almost ready to go. We do have letters of intent signed with Germany. We have a current commitment signed to buy all our current production through the end of the year. So we're very happy about that. We see global demand continuing to grow, as I mentioned earlier. We do expect a shortage of product globally. So we have clients asking us to sign long-term contracts, which we're currently in negotiations with. And we have a lot of possible clients waiting to run tests of our product once we get our first crop out and begin to commit to long-term contracts. It's a little bit of a chicken and an egg because they're ready to go, but they want to test, and we can't test because we're not ready to go. So we have to send a sample, but we are very, very close. And I'm very happy with where we're at. We're still 2 months out from harvest and drying, and we have these clients lined up out the door with one current client that's already signed. Where we are going. So before we go where we're going, let's take you on a little field trip and show you a little bit of what the farm looks like at this moment. It's been kind of a boring presentation with just me speaking. And so let's take you through an update. So again, these are the first 3 terraces where we're planting. This is what it looked like a few months ago. We began to plant. This is the facility. This is the test. We're going to, let me show you. This is the processing. This is the CBD test. This will be covered in very light plastic. It's not a full greenhouse. It doesn't have an irrigation system. But again, if this grows and this strain of CBD grows, it's going to be profitable for us and help us with cash flow. Again, this is where I'm sorry to do this, but this is going to be the easiest way to do it. This is where the original processing facility is going to be. It was half the size. This is where the facility is now. This is very interesting. Again, I published a tweet a few months ago about how much money we'd saved on the drainage basis for the planters that we're using. I'm very happy to say that, and this looks very rustic, but it's been extremely successful. I'm very happy with even the innovation that we've had, because we started with what was a single planter, and well, here you can see the crop. But what's happened is we have evolved these single planters made out of recycled plastic into these planters that hold the entire row, saving us a ton of time on the production of these. And these are extremely inexpensive. So very rustic, but it gets the job done. Again, here's what the processing facility is looking like. Here's what the plants are looking like. We can't get enough videos. We have the ramp pump running and filling up our reservoir. Our plants at night. Our team, small team. There is, again, what it looks like. A lot of construction going on for the processing facility. This is, again, what the processing facility is going to look like. 2.5 times the original size. Very, very fast construction. And the entire facility will be certifiable for UGMP. And again, this is what the plants look like right now. This was 2 days ago. And this is the space where the next crops will be planted. So we still have quite a bit of space. Again, what I've just shown you is just these 3 terraces. As we build out this, we have this portion built out. We will build out this portion, then this portion, and then we continue to build out all of these greenhouses in 2,500 square meter blocks, or smaller in some cases. And then we go on to this side. So continuous addition of greenhouses in blocks of 2,500 square meters. We're signing long-term contracts, and we're going to grow Australia. Financial overview, we have authorized shares of 1.5 billion, outstanding shares of 319 million, restricted 176 million, unrestricted 143 million, a float of 118 million, and a current price of 0.005 cents a share. With valuation and projections, all capital and current, again, we are raising capital. The capital that we're raising is for faster expansion. We're at a point where we can continue growth and self-fund, but we do have a round that we'll be raising on a Reg A. For that reason, we shrank the shares that we had outstanding, expecting that we were going to add a few more. But we do have expansion of, well, this funding, whether we raise it or not, we're still deciding, will be focused towards expansion of greenhouses, expansion of operations of Australia. We have secured purchase orders from Germany again, so we're very happy about that. That gives us the cash flow we need to continue to grow. We are targeting $50 million annually starting next year. A valuation multiple of 2.5 times revenue would put us at 125 million valuation, an estimated share price of 24.5 cents. So this is where we're at. We're very happy to be here. I really want to thank you. I believe that we are on the cusp of something very big, and I hope you guys can come along for the ride. So thank you very much and have a great day.
Now we head back to the music industry with a presentation from CEO of Hollywall, Roxy Green, OTCID ticker HWAL.
Hi, I'm Roxana Green. I am the CEO of Hollywall Entertainment. Today we are privileged to present an update on our company's progress over the past few months since our last presentation at Buffalo's Fireside Chats virtual conferences. We're grateful for the opportunity to present through this forum, but mainly we're grateful to update our shareholders and our stakeholders on a regular basis. Over the past few months, we've been quite successful in finalizing a major step and settling with one of our note holders, which now allows us to concentrate most importantly for the expansion of our company. During my last conference, I specifically said that Hollywall will be growing to increase operations of our internal divisions through partnership relationships and future business acquisitions. On today's call, I intend to present what we believe is some of the most exciting partnerships that will benefit our shareholders in such incredible ways. But most importantly, because the partnerships are in the media and entertainment industries, we know that this is exciting to all of us here at Hollywall, and we're sure it will be for you as well. In 2023, we made our first major partnership, which was a new joint label called Lunar Records. That partnership was forged by Hollywall's music subsidiary Melody Trust and a major entertainment and media group focused on space, new technologies, entertainment, media, fashion, by the name of Space Blue. Today's conference, we will show you several video presentations that will help you understand the depth and the brilliance of these projects. We hope that you enjoy watching today's presentation.
Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Would you love somebody to love? You better find somebody to love.
When war ravaged the earth, the gods created us. I will fight for those who cannot fight for themselves.
Wonder Woman, what are you?
You will soon find out.
The thing that's exciting about partnerships is that they come with great teams of experts and highly skilled and experienced individuals that help those partnerships grow by leaps and bounds. As we work with the Space Blue team, we've had the incredible fortune this year of helping to foster other joint partnership relationships that has been brought forward by the team at SpaceFlu. These projects include our music catalog of some of the greatest works of all time, and iconic music legends from the late 40s to the 80s, artists like Jimi Hendrix and Bob Marley and Aretha Franklin and Marvin Gaye, the original Jackson 5, James Brown. So as we began to look at all of the incredible musical gems within our catalog, we started to curate albums and merchandise around the music that would help us shape the story and stories of this incredible music that we've kept in a vault, protecting it for well over 30 years. Our first project, called Summer of Love, is a 2-album project around all of the music from the late 1969 era, the first time that we landed on the moon, and then the same year as Woodstock. This was a year of incredible change, when people raised up their voice to excite change, but change for peace and non-violence all over the world. The other projects that we have curated is in tandem with several film projects and releases that we're extremely proud of. From The Ninth Raider to Stan Lee's last franchise, The Legion of Five. So please enjoy the next video clips, and hopefully you'll see why everyone at Hollywall is so excited about the future. It's not just about the growth of our company from the pending revenues and increase of our stock price, which we know for a fact is inevitable. But it's the fact to be part of something so beautiful and so substantial as these projects are, and the partnerships allow us to present to the world this incredible music by so many iconic and Grammy Award-winning musicians, recording artists, and songwriters.
Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption songs.
When you write that?
All my life.
Reggae is the people music.
You know you're a superstar.
I am a superstar. You can't separate the music and the message. You see, reggae music come to unify the people.
Not everyone likes what you're saying. For your own safety, you need to stop.
On December 3rd, 1976, would-be assassins invaded Bob Marley's home and attempted to take the life of the singer, his wife, and...
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that thing. Cause every little thing gonna be alright. You like that one?
Yeah.
There's a war going on. Oh, I can't bring peace. I can't even get peace for myself.
Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. Three little birds, it's by my doorstep.
Sometimes
Singing,
the messenger has to become the message.
about
Bob, I know it's dangerous. But you're the only one who can unite the people.
You ready, Bob?
No guns can stop this message. I want the world to change. And that time is now.
This is my message to you.
Where am I?
Ooh, fresh meat for the grinder.
Pay him no heed. He is cute, but he is.
There's gotta be a way out of here.
There's no escape. The only hope is the sweet relief of death.
Whoa! Oh, you've got to be kidding me! My army! Koopas! Goombas! Whatever those things are! Aww. We will destroy the Mushroom Kingdom!
Bowser is coming.
I'm not afraid. I'll do anything for my brother.
We're going to save him.
Yes! Fire!
You asked for it! This is fun!
Here we go!
Attack! Let's end this.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're here in LA presenting Lunarbits with the one and only Dala Santana and Marshmallow, the first artist to send art to the moon. It was not a human. Number one, Marshmallow. So Dallas, this special place, this special moment after sending art to the moon, I hear we have a very, very special announcement today. So could you share with us a little bit of what's going to be announced, what's going to happen?
Well, Lunarbits has been born. We've been working on it for a while. We dreamt it up on the way to putting all these projects on the moon. It's a Bitcoin asset, it's a Bitcoin token. It now has thousands of people involved in the project already, and it's just being born now. And it's going to be an economy really targeting utilities connected to the creators and artists, metaverse projects, directory. Lots of things in this industry, and we already have 2 metaverse projects launching. Probably just a video game. Stan Lee franchise, movie franchise, launching with it. K-pop star from Korea launching it on another incredible project they're connected to.
Dallas, and it's so special to be part. I just want to say thank you. You believed in me from the first day, saying how we sent papayas to the moon, and it's been really changed my life, and how the papaya sent to the moon and the collaboration like this one with Jimi Hendrix, and it's so special to be part of this cruise. So Dallas, really, I really grateful for what you're doing for the planet and what we're doing together, and the opportunity that you're giving me, and like together how we're like getting all the way to the moon and all the way there. I'm so grateful, and we're just the beginning of everything that is going on. Every day, and you guys and watch more, many years. May we all be healthy and with prosperous in our reading on our vision. What we did last year, just to begin, was a big
One small step for bits to leap for the world. Lunarbits on the moon, oh, we're shining bright, jumping in the low gravity tonight. We're spinning, we're soaring under cosmic light. Lunar bits on the moon, it feels so right.
They came with fire and took it all. The hill was hard and made us fall. But every scar is my battle cry. I'm still here, I'll never die. I've got fire running through my veins. Lightning strikes, but I'll take the rain. No fear, no chains, no giving in. This is where my fight begins. I'm unbreakable, unstoppable. I Said the climb would wear me thin, but I was born to rise and win. Every doubt just fuels my flame. You'll remember my name. I've got fire running through my veins. Lightning strikes, but I'll take the rain. No fear, no chains, no giving in. This is where my fight begins. I'm unbreakable, unstoppable. I rise above it all. A warrior with a lion's roar, standing tall through every fall. I'm unshakable, unbreakable. I'm the storm that shakes the ground. This is my time, the I'm unbreakable, unstoppable. I rise above it all. A warrior with the lion's roar, standing tall through every fall. I'm unshakable, unbreakable. I'm the storm that shakes the ground. This is my time.
The island is in the past. I want to show you the future. Blue's DNA will form the architecture of a completely new creature.
What is that thing? They made it.
There's a town 5 miles from here. If we don't shut this down, everything changes.
Blue!
We've all had experiences and encounters with the unknown and the unexplainable. Here, we pay top dollar for your possessed possessions. Now this is very, very interesting.
Have it for 40.
I've never seen anything like this at all.
60.
All over New York City, ghost attacks are on the rise.
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
And we are the only ones
Hold on to your ass!
equipped to fight back. Welcome to the new Paranormal Research Center.
You just let ghosts hang out in here?
We've spent 40 years trapping them. Now we can study them.
He's cute.
Yeah.
Ever since you brought in this orb, strange things have been occurring. You think it's commanding of the spirits?
Is something trying to get out?
Many things.
You could be looking at a full-bore army of ghosts with the power to kill by fear itself.
Like literally scared to death?
That's messed up.
So what is the plan?
We're the Ghostbusters. We stay and fight for this place. Suit up. Shoot anything that looks terrifying.
That orb is prophesizing to bring about the end of humankind.
The Second Ice Age.
Get away from her!
What do you think's out there?
Your father. There's a war brewing in this territory. Brigham Young trying to make his kingdom. President trying to stomp it out. These natives here don't murder you. You got the Wasatch Mountain Range. Grizzlies, wolves, riled up Mormons.
We are the chosen!
This doesn't seem to be a world that favors a woman on her own.
Civilization and civilized, two different words entirely. Heading west is a mistake.
I have no choice. Where are you taking us?
You don't listen.
Oh, I listen. I just don't trust you.
We set out at first light. One step closer to the life I promised you.
Someday, this entire American continent will be ours.
Why do your people have so much hunger to kill?
Fear. Everything I've done, it's been to him.
Whatever you've done to protect you both, ain't no sin in that.
We hope that you've enjoyed today's video presentation of all the projects and exciting partnerships that we intend to further expanding throughout this year. As I made mention at the beginning of this presentation today, that Hollywall will continue to grow by increasing its operations, partnership relationships, and future acquisitions. We intend to announce to the world within the next few weeks of what those acquisitions looks like, what it means for Hollywall shareholders, and the future for communities here both in the U.S. and outside of this country. Thank you for this opportunity for letting me share Hollywall with you today. Until next time.
We
To close things out, we have a presentation from Lunarbits, a Bitcoin project built on the Runes protocol. Let's check it out.
When I first heard that the private space companies from the United States landed the first digital archive including Bitcoin projects and an art archive on the moon, I did not know what to think. But I looked into it further and sure enough, a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket launched from Kennedy Space Center, and atop it carried a private space cargo called the Lunar Prize bolted to a lunar lander called Odysseus, landing on February 22, 2024. The time capsule contains 222 art and NFT projects spanning 30,000 years. But also on the moon is a Bitcoin ordinals project called Lunarbits. Now a blockchain team from Singapore has inscribed duplicate copies of these lunar bits into the Bitcoin network, making the first Bitcoin ordinal runes project linked to the 222 million lunar bits on the moon. The first Bitcoin project to land on the moon literally. Take a look below in links and discover this breakthrough project.
Lunarbits made history in February of 2024 as a private project landed the first time capsule in history to land on the moon. And this time capsule payload was curated by a private company called Space Blue and launched atop a SpaceX rocket and had art, content, and other digital projects, including the Lunarbits named digital assets. Alice Tanner, the CEO. And so I guess when they see To the Moon, you actually did that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Whenever we say Bitcoin to the moon, the president said it last year at the Bitcoin conference, and my friends pointed and said, yeah, it's already up there.
So how hard was that to do?
For me personally, it was one of the hardest things in my entire life. It took years. There were many, many delays. This was the very first payload or mission for the United States and NASA since 1972. And with all of the ambitions that we had with technology, innovation, blockchain, crypto, we wanted to be really careful. So there was a lot of things we had to do that required us to be really careful.
So I mentioned some digital assets are still on the moon, right? Yeah. Can people access them? What kind of tech is there that allows you to do something like that?
Well, the idea behind the payload was we have 77,000 digitized and inscribed onto metallic disk artifacts up there. So we also have a copy here. And with blockchain technology, we're able to take those inscriptions and inscribe them onto Bitcoin. So that was the whole strategy, and that was the whole plan behind this mission, was to be able to have that opportunity.
So the lunar bits are made out of Bitcoin?
Yes, they are.
And how is that possible?
Well, good fortune, great innovators in this industry, Jane, last year developed a technology only about 14 months ago, and they took the Bitcoin network, and then they created a protocol that allows a token, which, by the way, is going to be used for stocks too. It's about to be used for stocks. And this is built on top of Bitcoin. We were one of the first companies to start innovating on this. We put the missions that we were sending to the moon into this technology, and we're going to be using it quite a bit.
And now let's bring in Brandy Vale, who is one of the founding voices and vision holders of Luna Prize, the strategic advisor, storyteller, a woman who is art-centered and on mental health and wellness, and now lives on the moon. What? Is this true?
It's literally a dream come true. I mean, we talk about having visions of going to the moon or in our dreams being there, but we've done it. So this is definitely exciting for people all around the world to see that if you can dream it, you can be it.
Yeah, no, it's pretty incredible. So tell me about your role then in this, putting the time capsule on the moon.
Thank you for being here and inviting me into this story. So we are one of those voices of the next generation. And so my role is as a visionary holder of the Luna Prize. And I'm a strategic advisor. I'm one of the storytellers of our time. And we have now landed onto the moon. Being a part of this mission has been, it's one of those moments where you get to pioneer a project. And so I am one of the founding members.
Yeah. So, now were you there at the launch of the SpaceX Falcon 9 at Kennedy Space Center, when it did go to the moon?
Yes, absolutely. So I was there. I witnessed the entire launch when we were part of the Luna Prize time capsule, which was aboard the SpaceX Falcon 9 at the Kennedy Space Center. We had a range of people who were there with us that supported this mission. And if I told you some of the names, they would just mind blow the audience. So may I share it?
Sure.
Okay, so it was once in a lifetime opportunity with Lorenzo Medici, if you know the Medici family, if you've heard of them.
The banking
And
family?
yeah, and Nova Spavik and Scott Page of Pink Floyd, along with many other pioneers in this blockchain space. So yes, I was there. I was one of the active artists and participants, and it was a night to remember. I mean, I thought for sure that this space launch wasn't going to happen, and it happened on the exact date that we meant it to happen.
Oh, how cool. So now explain like the purpose of this and the community that you're trying to build with Lunarbits.
So Lunarbits is a native project. It is the beginning of how we actually tie community together. You know, if you're paying attention to Bitcoin, you understand that there's utility, there's security, and we understand that we're moving into a new era. And so the purpose behind our token is to bring community projects to the forefront of what we're doing as creators. A lot of these kind of meme coins and, you know, just a lot of talk of utility. It's not true, but our token is a true utility that allows us to move crypto-led with the power and proof behind our purpose. So we have a long-term value. Each one of the artists understand that we're not stopping. We get to continue to create. And then from that, we evolve the digital asset. And of course, you know, the value of that asset goes up because it's tied to Bitcoin. And it's tied to, let's just imagine a timestamp being on the moon. You know, technology is ever changing. So imagine having a time capsule that allows us to be able to prove that we have the assets there along the side of Bitcoin. So the value is, I can't even announce how valuable that is to artists and, of course, history and legacy projects. Yeah.
Now, what was the reaction among the artists and people in the crypto industry?
It's one of those things that we're investors. I'll just simply say we invest in our projects and we invest wisely and we're committed. So the reaction, not only as investors and creators, was that we're in this together and we're going to prove a marketplace as pioneers. And we did it. We were able to do it. And I have to commend my partner and, of course, mentor. He was a major mentor in my life, which is Dallas Santana. He is a pioneer of our time. He's a visionary and he is stuck to the program and he is not strayed away. He said, Brandy, I'm going to go all in. Our early conversations were, are you really doing this? And he said, yes, I'm all in. Everything else gets to wait. And so he is leading the next generation of education. He's leading, well, we are leading, right? As women and men coming together, we are leading the next evolution of education and experiential events and community growing and fostering a new type of finance. That's really at the core of the model is understanding this 3.0 finance.
Well, and that's, kind of, how crypto is seen. One of the ways, of fintech. So how can people, Brandy, find out about this? Get involved, learn more about the project?
Yeah. So we're at the very beginning. And so it's not too late. Most people will ask, is it too late to get involved? And I say no, because one of the prize pieces to this puzzle is the multiverse that we've created. And so it's a multiverse platform. It is a Web3 powered platform. You get to experience the art. You get to meet the artists. You get to actually go in there and ask questions, have your investment be able to be seen. So I'm spearheading a lot of these events along with Dallas and the 222 artists that are on this moon mission. You can go to the website, you can learn and get involved there. And you can also start to co-create with us. It's, like I said, not too late. Co-creation, collaboration. If you're an artist, if you're a creator, if you have legacy projects, please absolutely get in touch with us. And make sure you come and say hello at our live events all over the world.
Okay. And I guess you can go to the website and find out where those live events are.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. Brandy, awesome to meet you. Thank you so much for coming and sharing the Lunarbits story. Well, I wanted to ask you about the tokenization because we've heard Robinhood, I think, was tokenizing stocks. And where is that? Do you feel like that is what we'll see in the future?
Absolutely. In a big way. Changes are coming really rapidly to Wall Street. I work with a number of companies here on Wall Street, and we're working right now on projects so that this Bitcoin technology and this Lunarbits technology can be used specifically to create shares, not digital shares, but tokenized shares. We have some of our first projects coming up.
Do you use this with other assets as well, like real estate?
Real estate, real world assets is the name of the game. So with the stuff that we sent to the moon, the 77,000 artifacts, some of it's very old paintings and art history going back thousands of years, hundreds of years from the Renaissance era. And some of it is music files of really rare music from legends like Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin. That's put on there. So these are real world assets. Even an entire music catalog with Lunar Records is being put onto this technology as well. So real estate as well, not necessarily our sector that we're getting into so much. We're more involved in content and media and art. But definitely that's going to be a big opportunity.
Do you have partnerships with music companies, musicians? If so, what are those?
That's a very good question. So Billboard and Rolling Stones did an article about what we accomplished. We took the very first music catalog and we put it up on the moon. It's named Lunar Records. And it has super rare songs sitting inside of this catalog that go back, to the 1960s and the 1950s, and songs that have never been released by Marvin Gaye, songs that have never been released by Jimi Hendrix are sitting up on the moon. So this is a music catalog in a partnership called Lunar Records, which we are joint partners together with. And that's part of a public company, a whole nother story. But yes, we have lots of plans to continue with music digitization.
How did you, being somebody who's in this industry, how do you see the tokenization, digital assets? Where are we going with this, would you say, in the next generation?
Well, Jane, I decided to be what's called a Bitcoin maxi. And the reason for that, the reason why I went down this path with direction with our project was because Bitcoin was the first thing that the United States and the SEC said, it's not a security. You probably remember that.
Remember all that discussion.
And with being involved with projects with NASA and SpaceX, we had to go down a very narrow line to not have any controversies. We felt that Bitcoin was going to be the least controversial. Well, we bet right. We made the best bet on Bitcoin.
When was that?
That was when the legislation came out. We were planning the project, and we had lots of people that were coming to us with potential projects to put on the moon. And I made the decision, we're going with Bitcoin. Once the government of the United States said, it's not a security and it's a commodity, I said, it looks like we're going to go places. Then the new administration that we have right now, obviously all the things that happened. So it was the perfect storm for us. So we're building on Bitcoin. All of our projects are going to be built on Bitcoin for foreseeable future.
All right, guys, welcome back to the BFC. Yes, we have a great guest today. Very excited about this one. I've been talking about this one for a while, and I think some of you are still sleeping on it, but sleep no more. We have him. We have Dallas Santana, who's going to join us. Let's not waste any time. Let's bring him in. Mr. Dallas Santana, welcome to the BFC. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great today. Thank you. I'm here in New York, and I'm so glad that you invited me to be a part of this show today. Thank you.
It's gonna be exciting. But before we get into, I have some questions for you. And by the way, if you're watching this, put some questions in the chat if you have them. That's why we're here to do live due diligence. But I wanted to share something with you, and I just want to watch it. And then after, I want you to tell me what was going through your mind when you experienced this. So let's get right to it. You might want to mute your mic, by the way. Actually, I can mute you on this side. I don't want any echo or feedback. But let's just take a listen.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition. And liftoff of Falcon 9. Go Starlink, go SpaceX.
Falcon 9 is pitching downrange.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
And a good liftoff for the Falcon 9 rocket.
So what do you think? I mean, watching that, going back, what goes through your mind now looking back at that more than a year ago?
It was for me and everybody in the room that was hearing that countdown. We were outdoors, but we were indoors because we wanted to see it on television at the same time. And it was very emotional. I don't think anybody that was there, and there were lots of people that were there, I don't think they will forget that for the rest of their life, because they knew that, you know, we were part of history for the United States of America, where we live, and for the world, that we were making history the first time that this has ever happened, this type of a mission to the moon. So it was beyond thrilling. It was supernatural, to be honest with you.
Now, I do have a bunch of questions that I sent you that I was thinking of, and but before we get into those, because they're really structured questions, and by the way, guys, it's a structured interview, but ask whatever you want in the chat. All right, that's why we're here. I want to ask you to explain to people, before I get into the nitty-gritty and the nuts and bolts, what is Lunarbits, and why was it so significant of you putting these digital assets on the moon?
Well, Lunarbits is a Bitcoin asset. And, you know, I've been in the industry, entertainment space, sports space, got into blockchain in 2017 after leading, you know, projects on Fox and Fox Sports and Netflix and so on and so forth. And I realized that the blockchain industry was going to provide a lot of opportunities. Bitcoin was the very first asset that I ever got involved with. I got paid in Bitcoin, and then it doubled in 1 month, and I got paid for it. I didn't have to invest in it. So I was already a believer in it. And then I knew that it was going to be, I was hearing that it was going to be used. I had some mentors that were telling me that this was going to be used for inscriptions someday in the future to authenticate real world assets. That got me interested, because movies and music and intellectual property is something I've been involved in. So I knew that that was something I should pay attention to. And of course, but you know, at that time we were in the wild, wild west. There was even a podcaster like you, I forget what his name of his show, but it was like a wild, wild west type of crypto show. And that's what it was like. It was wild, wild west. Nobody knew how this is all going to turn out. But I decided to bet on Bitcoin, and it turned out to be the perfect decision, probably the best decision ever, because of all the things that's now unfolded that you're seeing right now. We bet on Bitcoin to be a part of the space mission.
That's awesome. How do you see Lunarbits, the moon landing achievement, shaping its brand and investor sentiment over the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, you know, I stood up at the Kennedy Space Center that evening, and there were many guests there. There was, you know, 1,000 guests there. We had royal families and Forbes editors, and we had Shark Tank founders there, and the founders of the space mission itself that were there. But I remember standing up. I said, "This is my moment to get up to them. I'm gonna make history with this statement. Nobody's gonna think it's coming." But I got up there and I said, "Remember that I told you here tonight that we're placing Bitcoin on the moon tonight. It's going to be catapulted up in a SpaceX mission. It's going to land on the moon, a whole bunch of different Bitcoin projects, and it's going to be the most significant part of changing not only everybody's lives that are involved in this mission, but also how we're going to look at the future of space missions and how we're going to fuel the space exploration into the future." And I said, "Just remember that." And here we are. And Lunarbits has been born, and it will be a leading property in the world. It's been called by many people to be possibly one of the top 1% projects to be introduced into this industry ever. And I think that could be the case.
Top 1%. That's a very bold statement. I love it.
I hear it from people all the time, market makers, investment bankers, cryptocurrency exchange owners that say, "Oh my goodness," I had one on the phone the other day, said, "Walk me through this story." And we told them the story of what we did, particularly with the digital assets. And they said, "We've never heard of a project like this in this industry. This is incredible." So we have something special, I know, and thanks to the amazing people that are involved in making this happen.
Right on.
With me is Dallas Santana, the founder of Space Blue and curator of Luna Prize, the first museum time capsule to land on the moon atop the SpaceX Falcon 9. So Dallas, great to have you back here today to now there were 222 projects, right, that were reported in that time capsule that was on the moon. So let's go over this again. Like, explain the project. What was your role in it? How did that all come about?
I got brought in as a curator, which essentially means that I selected all of the projects. I reviewed them legally, financially, rights-wise, and so forth. and what would also be historical too. What would matter in the future, 10,000 years from now? That was one of our criteria. What would matter in history? So we put in there in the time capsule, very important art, content, sports, memorabilia, records, our Constitution of the United States, our presidents, many, many great things are up.
How interesting. And Lunarbits is based on the Bitcoin network, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And that is the token associated with this project, or how does Lunarbits fit into the whole thing?
Well, it's an incredible story. So Lunarbits is a measurable space on the disk. We broke it up into 222 million little particles. And what happens with this is that now back on the Earth, this has been inscribed as onto the blockchain, onto the Bitcoin network. So now this is now a digital asset, and there's a community growing with it right now all over the world as we speak.
What role did NASA or SpaceX play in this? I mean, besides transportation, did they pick any of the items?
Well, one of the greatest things that happened in the United States was in the previous administration, before 2020, they passed laws for privatization of space and to allow the expansion of private companies. So this is a private mission. NASA is on the payload as a passenger, like we are. It's private initiative, so funded by the public partially, but private. Our mission was privately funded.
Okay.
So they don't have a role on that in terms of the curation. That they don't even know what the 222 projects are necessarily, because it's our payload that went there.
Okay. Now, tell me about your partnership with Future Trends Multiverse. Explain that. What does that mean for Lunarbits?
Well, you know, looking up at the moon, I tell people, listen, my dog's art is up there. Lunarbits is up there. There's all these projects, but they're trying to visualize it. So the metaverse we knew would be the way. So the metaverse is expanding the opportunity for human beings to be able to go in virtually. They don't need Oculus or the, virtual reality. They can go on their desktop or their phone, and they can see they can visit the Kennedy Space Center or the other launch pads, and they can literally go virtually to the moon.
Okay.
To the base on the moon, and they can see the songs, the music, the art, the artifacts.
Awesome. So you don't have to go to the moon to see these artifacts. You can do it in the metaverse.
Exactly.
Genius.
Yeah.
Genius.
Yeah, the multiverse, in fact.
The multiverse. Okay. Well, explain a little bit then how this project helps with just the U.S. and research and the privatization of space. It feels like a lot has happened with that in recent years. How does Lunarbits play?
Well, we created the very first currency off the Earth. Now think about that for a minute. Currency was created off the Earth. It wasn't created here. And so it was created up there. And then it was brought down here. So this is a whole new concept. And what's going to happen with minerals and other commodities and other things in space, some of the things are going to be tokenized without even coming here. That's the future.
Wow, that's really interesting. Is there a business revenue opportunity there at all?
Absolutely. We're not announcing them today here. We'll come back and talk to you about that. But we have some very substantial multi-billion-dollar deals of the incorporation of Lunarbits into other assets that are part of other companies that want to get these things tokenized and use the payment system that we have in Lunarbits.
Okay. Tell me about the creators of the projects, the art and that is involved in this payload.
Sure. So there is the Renaissance era, Michelangelo. In fact, Prince Medici was there at the launch with us, who was the keynote speaker. There's sports memorabilia, there's music, there's film. Not that much film up there. There's a project that Leonardo DiCaprio did with Michael Nash that's up there about saving the planet with the crisis that we're in. And there's a lot of wonderful things that haven't been told yet. So we plan billion. So Lunarbits' financial system is going to allow people to be able to collect and purchase these assets through our economy using this currency. And they'll be able to get these assets that are up there as digital twins down here or physicals or other certifications.
And how do the creators get paid?
Well, that's a really good question. This is the revolution with Lunarbits. So I come from the entertainment industry, and I really felt bad when the actors went on strike and they were saying that they weren't getting paid from the platforms. And there were all these delays. And that's true. And it's still a problem today. So with blockchain, what happens is as soon as a transaction goes through, there's a wallet that can capture that royalty and dump it right into them instantly. Once the talent and creators get through this process, they never want to go back to the old system. So this technology with Lunarbits on Bitcoin allows instantaneous payments within 15 minutes, reasonably.
Sure.
That's totally reasonable. So if you're if you're a television star or you're a movie star or you got a movie or a franchise, for instance, we're doing this with the Stan Lee project as well. When you actually see a character, the royalties flow right back into the wallets of the creators and the artists and the writers instantaneously. So that's what Lunarbits' economy is all about.
Wow. Now, will there be concerts in the metaverse?
It's a funny thing you say that. So I was on the phone last night with one of the executives at SpaceX, and I said, look, at the Kennedy Space Center, we did a concert there when we launched to go to the moon. We had DJs, we had celebrities, musicians, band members from Pink Floyd, all kinds of incredible people. And it was never done like this before at the launches. So we got the idea of wanting to do this on a big scale. So I was on the phone yesterday with SpaceX, and I said, listen, when does Elon go to Mars? And they said, next November. I don't know if you know that, Jay. That's the plan.
Okay.
This is going to be, I'm getting goosebumps even telling you, this is going to be a huge thing, the idea of human beings going to Mars.
Yes.
And if it happens next November, we've already gone down there on private property to create a concert with K-pop stars and other artists, and also do this inside the metaverse as well. So the whole economy of this, with the artists, the concerts, the ticketing, everything else, is going to all flow through Lunarbits. And we are also planning on being on that mission, by the way, to Mars. Okay. I can't talk about it right now, but there's something that we'll be doing up there. We're in the right position. We succeeded in doing, the impossible, and we've told the direct companies like SpaceX that we're the experts in this area in the world, and we'd like to continue to participate on these future missions. So we're planning things for Mars, which I'll come back and talk about. But next year in November, concerts, music artists there. Can you imagine the most powerful rocket in the world taking off, and several days before the artists get together and creators that are part of space and are already involved in these space missions, and they're there to witness this and perform there and invite the community that's down there. If you ever get a chance, go down. It's beautiful. Horseback riding next to the rockets. No kidding. Wow. It's incredible.
I would love to be there for the launch.
Yes.
What a vision you have. It's amazing.
Yes, that's our vision, to use the Lunarbits ecosystem for payments, and including, I've told this to even SpaceX. SpaceX talks to individuals like me and our companies because they want to know if we want to go for a ride. They've asked, do you want to go for a ride to space? And I've said, yes. And I want to pay for it with our currency. So really where we're ending up going is that we're going to go back into space and fund our space programs that we are initiating through this currency with Lunarbits. And companies that we're partnering with also that want to get into space will use the Lunarbits economic system. For instance, Binance is a payment platform. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's a very large one, 250 million people. They're tapping into what we're doing in space that they can't do because they're not involved in the payloads. We are. They're tapping into that. And so that our community will be able to access the Binance network for safety and security. So when a payment goes through the Binance system. Yeah. When somebody transacts a concert ticket, whatever the case may be, down there at Starbase, when we do that concert down there, we'll go through that whole Binance financial system with the Lunarbits currency.
Okay. Well, I can't wait for updates on this.
Yes. I'll come back again.
Yes. Thanks so much, Dallin.
Thank you, too. Appreciate that.
Meet Stan Lee, the iconic creator behind Hollywood's biggest box office hits, like Iron Man, Spider-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, Black Panther, and of course, the entire Marvel Universe. When fans mourned the passing of Stan Lee, the Luna Prize space mission was aiming to archive art and human culture on the moon for 1 billion years. Curators at Space Blue decided to work with the movie studio that owned the very last Stan Lee movie franchise, and characters Stan Lee was developing for a new universe called Legion 5. The Luna Prize team worked with the Space Blue team to onboard these final characters, animations, and final screenplay, and shoot them to the moon in a time capsule called Luna Prize, atop a SpaceX Falcon 9. The time capsule was bolted to the Odysseus lunar lander, which successfully landed on the south pole of the moon on February 22, 2024. Now sitting up on the moon on metal discs estimated to last over 1 billion years, over 100 unreleased Stan Lee developed characters which have now been also inscribed back on Earth on a new art storage technology called Bitcoin ordinals. Curious fans now have an opportunity to buy these, the most sure rare artifacts and characters in comic book and movie franchise history. Want to learn more and stay connected to this journey? Click the links below and follow Space Blue for updates.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us at the BFCVC2. Please hit your notifications, share the content. We're going to be following up with these companies. We're going to be releasing some articles summarizing what you had here today and any other PRs that they're going to be putting out. So definitely be following Buffalo Fireside on the X, on YouTube, on Facebook, and we're just going to keep the due diligence from the source coming. That's all I got. Remember, there is more that binds us than breaks us. You guys have a great day. Peace out.